200 defected to South Korea last year, but compared to before the COVID pandemic, when in 2019 there were more than 1,000 defections, that number has plummeted in recent years. Now, there are mainly two reasons. During the pandemic, North Korea effectively shut down its borders. Secondly, it's because the most common route to defect from North Korea, which is the border with China up in the north, it's been heavily fortified in recent years by the North Korean authorities, making it more difficult to escape.
Yeah, very difficult journey, sometimes very perilous, but even when they manage to get to South Korea, for many North Koreans, life is very difficult. It's very difficult for them to integrate into what is a very different society.
That's correct. So before I just elaborate it, it's worth mentioning out of more than 30,000 North Koreans who defected who live in South Korea, most of them have successfully integrated from the help of the government, but as you say, many find it difficult. Two reasons again for this. First, as you say, a very different society. South Korea is a capitalist society, a communist one, and it's not all paradise for North Koreans. It's a very competitive society, and many just cannot compete with these well-educated South Koreans who they don't have the skill sets. Secondly, I've spoken to numerous North Koreans defectors, and many of them tell me that they miss their family members back in North Korea. They feel a sense of guilt because they are able to eat all this good food and have a nice life in South Korea, while their family members, who they might never be able to see again, are still going through such hardship, and they just don't know what the fate of their family members are like.
Jason, the spacecraft, which is on a mission to the planet Jupiter, is taking part in what scientists are calling a world-first double gravity-assisted flyby. The maneuver will use the Earth's gravity and the Moon's to propel the European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer craft, known as JUICE, towards the solar system's biggest planet. Dr. Caroline Harper, who's the head of the UK Space Agency, explains.
JUICE flew by the moon last night, very close, got really close, about 700 kilometers from the moon, and it's now heading towards Earth for a close flyby of Earth as well. So this is a double flyby, lunar Earth flyby, that's never been done before because it's a very risky procedure. And what it does is it adjusts the speed and the trajectory of the spacecraft and sends it on a very convoluted pathway towards Jupiter. You would think, wouldn't you, that it would be a straight line, would be the most efficient way to get there, just go in a straight line from here to Jupiter, but that's not the case. And counterintuitively, if we go on a sort of a scenic route and use the gravity of the Moon and Earth, and then it'll be Venus next, this is actually more efficient, saves a lot of fuel.
Dr. Caroline Harper talking about the circuitous journey of JUICE to Jupiter. It's due to arrive in 2031, in case you're wondering, after a journey of 4.1 billion miles. Thanks for listening to the newsroom.
Thank you for being with us on the BBC World Service. In 30 minutes, it's News Hour with Tim Franks.
New evidence of a massacre in Myanmar. Rohingya Muslims the target.
Service.com, Cloud Science is asking, can we make shipping containers
Orthodox Church, but Kiev accuses it of spreading pro-Kremlin propaganda. A barrier that blocked a popular crowd in Japan has been taken down. The school roads take photos. And the world's oldest living person has died at the age of 117.
Welcome to the documentary in the studio from the BBC World Service. I'm Andrea Kidd, and today we're with the Asian art team, known for vivid, colourful geometric work, which they've exhibited around the world. We're finding the role of galleries and people's relationship with the artworks.
That's what I love about geometrical abstraction, that you have to interpret it and you have to start playing a game. This foundation has the goal to use native plants in order to repopulate green areas. And for me, ecological reconstruction is a huge inspiration. It's part of the message that I want to bring with my report. This is one of the cities with the lowest number of green square meters per habitant. It's interesting because green spaces relate to mental health, to well-being, and when you're learning about plants that are native to your home, you get a connection with the land and the people.
What are you working on at the moment?
So now I'm working on Hotel for Birds, and had this idea of creating a sort of mural monument that works as a refuge for birds. So all this work will be part of a festival that is every year in Le Havre. It's called Annette Le Havre.
So, Annette Le Havre, a summer in Le Havre. Le Havre is a city in Normandy, in northern France.
I'm going to work with native plants in that region. So the plants I work with in France are totally different, but working here with these native plants give me the idea, inspiration to going on in cities. Every city has their own identity, their own plants. They are a caracho, one of the biggest birds that you can find in Buenos Aires. They actually eat creatures. Do you see that?
Oh yes, that's a huge nest.
Yeah, it's a huge bird. These plants are called taxis. studies that the architect and his team is doing on site. We've been talking with the people in the garden, the people that take care of the space. Sadly, they say that there are not too many birds because of the seagulls. I want to talk more about the designs that you have here. This design, it's geometric, but it looks like a woman or a person. You've got two water circles, but you could say they were arms. You've got something that could be a neck there that's half like a parallelogram here, and then you've got could be a face over there, or it could be the top of an octopus, which is in purple, and the body is like almost like a deep dusky pink. Then you've got a flower on one side that looks like one eye, and on the other side it could be like a petal coming out. So you've actually created what could be people or animals through geometric design. Well, that's what I love about geometrical abstraction, that you have to interpret it and you have to start playing a game with all the shapes and the colors. That's the goal, to have these geometrical compositions as a platform to work imagination, to also resist the way we engage with painting. And I love your working space. The dog, Max, has found his bed, and it is actually a double bed, which he is happily lying on now and chewing his bones. And then you've got these big windows, so what you're staring at as you're working is actually greenery. Also, a lot of birds come down because they have my compost box right behind the computer. You're called Ad. Why Ad? What does that stand for? Well, actually, my legal name, my given name is Adriana. When I was in school, I got to study Latin. And if you say Ad Minoliti, Ad is the shortcut for Adriana, but also in Latin means in my own way, in Minolitis way. And that's something that my dad always says, like, oh, you want everything on your way. And I'm like, of course, So my name reflects that, and also part of my non-binary identity.
Ad starts to work on the next draft, having heard from the curator in France that the installation now needs to be more vertical than their original design.
So I have to rethink the composition, maybe change the palette too. I also like to use previous works. So if you see a lot of my work, sometimes you can recognize specific characters that goes in different paintings and landscape.
This one looks almost like a mushroom with a round window in it.
This idea of the mushroom being a metaphor of connection, and also being, for me, an icon of non-binary, because it's not a plant or an animal. I love how mushroom is also populating all the fantasies and stories in the woods, like in the animations and cartoons. We always look like mushrooms, like little houses. I like to play with those ideas, because I also like to think about my body of work as a huge comic, like a comic book where you can see these characters or entities go in different places of my universe. I call my universe peluche.
Now, peluche is a word that appears a lot on your work. What does peluche mean?
Well, it refers more to the concept of the plush, the softness, the furry. So it's a word that means a toy, like the teddy bear. It means the furry, like a texture. It means something a little kitsch, also camp to tenderness, humor, and childhood.
While Ad continues to look through their array of potential geometric shapes for the next draft,